In this video, we're going to talk about ZApplink. ZApplink is a plugin found under the document window here. And what it does is it allows us to leverage all the tools within Photoshop and use them inside of ZBrush. So we can use all of our image editing, text, and paint tools in Photoshop in conjunction with the ZBrush painting tools. So to demonstrate this, we're going to use this chemical container here. It contains 2,4,5-trioxin, a very dangerous experimental chemical. And this was created using live booleans, this canister. You can see it's got a little digital keypad locking mechanism. And it has these plates here. If I go into solo mode, you can see these plates are on both sides of the canister. And these have no color information on them yet. We're going to use ZApplink to apply a metal texture as well as some signage. So I'll turn off perspective mode and then zoom in so the piece that I want to texture is taking up the maximum screen real estate. Then I will press Document, ZApplink, and it brings up the ZApplink projection window. I'll turn off Fade, and I'm going to turn on double-sided since I'm going to be projecting just a random texture. If I were projecting signage, I wouldn't want to have double-sided turned on because it will actually reverse the text on the opposite side. So let's click Drop Now, and that will create a document inside of Photoshop like you see here. The Photoshop layer has 3 layers. It has the shading layer. It has the raw RGB color with a mask, and it has the background. Now we don't want to edit on any of these layers. We want to place our layer that we're working on in between the top and the second layer. So I'm going to come over here and grab a dirty metal texture. Come back here and I'm going to paste it. Control V. I'll do Control T to transform this. We'll just stretch this texture out like so. Now I'm going to merge this down with Control E, and it's going to ask me if I want to preserve the layer mask. I absolutely do. So press Preserve. Now you'll notice that there's overspray that's on the rest of the canister. That's not going to matter because this is the only active subtool right here. This is the only thing that will pick up texture. Anything that sprays over that will be lost. So I will press Control S to save this document and then go back to ZBrush. Tell ZApplink to recheck the saved document. It sees that it's changed, so it lets us re-enter ZBrush. Double-sided is turned on. I click Pick Up Now, and it has now applied that RGB texture to that metal plate. If we solo this, rotate around the opposite side, you can see it's on both sides. So now let's put some signage on here. I want there to be some warning signs that this is a dangerous chemical. So let's go back to Document, press ZApplink. We'll turn off double-sided this time and drop Now. It asks us if we want to update, so click Yes to update. And let's go to one of our signs here. We'll go to this danger chemical storage. I'll copy this, then go back to my temp file and then paste it. Control T so I can transform it, and I'm just going to scale this down and just place this here. And then let's zoom in a little bit. And I'll press Control T and I'll just use the arrow keys to sort of scoot this around so I get it exactly where I want it. And then if I want to do some distressing on the edges, I'll go to the eraser brush, and from the eraser brush I can go into my brush sets here. I'll go to my assorted brushes and select maybe crosshatch. And then I can just use this to sort of erode out some of the edges here, add some scratches, just make it feel a little bit more worn down. So the rest of this canister has seen some damage over the years, so possibly this would also be a bit damaged. I'm going to go to my window, brush settings. Under brush settings, I want to go to shape dynamics. And let's turn angle jitter up. Set it to direction. And turn on scattering. Let's turn scattering up a bit. Now we should be able to get a little bit more randomization in these. Yeah, there we go. Just want there to be some scratches that have sort of worn away the edges here. I'll turn down my brush size here and just really erode out some of these bits. Here we go. All right, when I'm happy with that, I press Control E, and that's going to merge it down into this layer, and I want to preserve the layer mask. Control S to save, and then Alt Tab back to ZBrush, recheck the document, re-enter ZBrush, pick up now, and it now applies that decal onto the poly paint, as you see there. So let's do another one. I'll go back. Let's zoom in here because I just want to work on this particular part of the image. And we'll go to Document, ZApplink, Drop Now, Update. Now this time I will bring up the biohazard infectious waste sign. We'll copy that and then paste this here. And once again, we'll go in with our eraser. Just do a little bit of destructiveness around here. We can also adjust our blending modes here. I could set this to overlay, and that would get some of the underlying texture showing through. So it feels like it's maybe sprayed on there or silk screened, stenciled on there. So let's really get a nice bit of erosion going along the edges here. So it really feels like it's just gone through the ringer. It's probably been sitting in a basement of a supply warehouse somewhere for 20 years. You never know. I want it to feel like there's a bit of story to it. There we go. Now I will Control E to merge this down. Now it didn't ask me there to save my my mask, and the reason is there is no mask necessary. It's filling the entire space. So we'll save, come back over here, recheck, re-enter ZBrush, pick up now. And there we have our infectious waste sign. So if we zoom out, see we've put these decals on using Photoshop. So let's rotate around this way and take a look at what we can do with our text tools. We'll zoom in here. And once again, we will drop it with ZApplink. Drop now. Update. And we'll go in with our text tools. And let's make it a real sickly green. And let's set our size pretty high here. 245 trioxin. Let's select all that, and then let's choose a different font for it. If we scroll down through here, or if we just select one, we can then use the arrow keys to go through the various different fonts that are available. Let's see, I think I want something quite bold for this. Perfect, this is a nice stencil. 245 trioxin. So select all that, go back down and select Stencil Standard. Right here. There we are. And let's increase our size. And I will transform with Control T. Just bring that over here. And I can scale this up like so. Let's just get that like that. I'll jump this layer up. And I'm going to rasterize the layer underneath just by clicking on it and rasterize type. And I'm going to go to T for transform. I'm just going to offset it ever so slightly, and I'm going to level it down to black. So it's almost like there's a little drop shadow in there. Merge those two together. Set the blending mode again to overlay. And let's go in with, let's actually jump it up another layer. There we go. And let's go in with our eraser and do a little bit of eroding to the text here. And we'll merge that down. Actually, I'm going to desaturate it just a little bit, and I'm going to darken the lettering. Actually, let's bring the saturation up. There we go. Merge that down, save, go back to ZBrush, recheck, and then re-enter and pick up now. And then that does put our 245 trioxin there on the label. Now let's say I want to get rid of something in my poly paint, like there's some artifacts in there that I don't quite like. I picked up some yellow. So what I'll do is I'll go to Document, ZApplink, Drop Now, Update, and let's zoom out of this. And I can just go to my stamp brush, my clone brush, and then I can directly erase stuff right here. Save that, Alt-Tab back, recheck, and re-enter ZBrush. Pick up now, and there we go. So we were able to just erase out using our regular ZBrush painting tools. So I think ZApplink works really nicely for adding decals and text and things like that to an object. Let's take a look at how we can use it on a character. I'll go back to our alien here, and let's say that we want to do some tattoos on him. Let's go to the side of his head here. I'll turn off perspective mode, and we're just going to put a little tattoo along the side of the head. So I'll snap to a side view. Then I will go to Document, ZApplink, turn off Fade, Drop Now. Now I'm going to go to my tattoo stencil here. Let's copy it, then paste it. We'll transform this, scale this down, and let's position it where we want it. I want to pivot around this point right here. So I like having it follow that shape of the head there. So let's do that. Let's set it to multiply. And now I'll go to Filter, Liquify. That opens up the Liquify menu, and I'll make sure that I've got the Liquify brush selected. Turn up my brush size a little bit, and I can do a little bit of tweaking of this shape. Just liquefying it right here in Photoshop. Maybe I want to bring this curve out along the cheek here. Maybe I want this to come out this way. Click OK, and then that will deform that. Oops, I just accidentally touched that with the brush. Let's redo that. Edit, redo liquify. There we go. Now, if I'm happy with that, I can do a little bit of adjustment. Maybe I'll turn down the opacity on it so it's not quite so opaque. And then I will merge it down, Control E. And because we have a mask here, we need to make sure we preserve it. Save, come back to ZBrush, recheck, re-enter ZBrush, pick up now. And there you can see it has applied that as poly paint. Now, of course, we can continue to do this on other parts of the model. Maybe I want to do some kind of markings on here. So we'll zoom into the chest, Document, ZApplink, Drop Now, Update, and I still have my tattoo in the memory buffer, so I'm going to paste it in. Let's bring it down like this. Let's rotate and position it here. There we go. And I want to change this to multiply. And now I'm going to Control J to jump this up, and then Control T to transform. And I want to mirror it, flip it horizontally, that way. And then I'm going to merge that down. And then let's change our opacity a little bit. Maybe we can go to Colorize, turn brightness up, and let's change the color of this. Maybe we'll make this a bit blue. I'll jump this up, and I will go to Filter, Stylize, Find Edges. And that darkens the edges there. I can set that to, well, that's already set to multiply. If I set this to normal, you'll see what that actually is. It's just a dark outline of the edges. So set that to multiply. And then maybe do just a tiny blur to it. Go to Blur, Gaussian Blur. And you see we can sort of give it a nice little darker edge along the edge of the tattoo there. Merge that down, merge again, and then preserve, save, come back to ZBrush, recheck, re-enter ZBrush, pick up now, and then it applies that on there. But you see, I feel like, oh, it's a little off center. Don't move your model. go back to Document, ZApplink, Drop Now. It's going to ask to update, which will make that, should make that disappear. Actually, no, it doesn't make it disappear. It brings it in as it is in ZBrush. So I'm going to undo until the point that I merge down. Oh, it's not going to let me do that. Nope, step backwards, step backwards, step backwards. There we go. So now I've got my two layers. I will merge these down, transform, and now I'm going to scooch them over so they're a bit more centered. There we go. So I just needed to go to Edit, Step Backwards to get back to the point before I had saved it previously. Now I'll merge this down, apply, or excuse me, preserve, save, go back to ZBrush, recheck, re-enter ZBrush, pick up now. And there we go. We've shifted that tattoo. Let's do one more. Let's come into the mouth area here. Go to Document, ZApplink, Drop Now. Update, paste, transform. Let's scale this down. And I want to do something like this. I am going to set this to multiply. Jump it up with Control J, Control T for transform. Let's move the pivot right there and then flip horizontal. There we go. And I'm going to merge those down. And I'm going to go to my eraser. I want to do a little bit of erasing around the mouth area here so we get a little bit of a fade along the edges of that tattoo there. Now I will Control U, colorize this. Let me change this to a darker blue, let's say. Jump that up and go to Filter, Stylize, Find Edges. Let's turn down the opacity on this one. And then let's blur the dark edges. Click OK. There we go. I'll merge that down, merge again, this time preserve the mask and save. Alt-tab back to ZBrush, recheck, re-enter ZBrush, pick up now. Now once again, I decide I want to make a change. I want to scooch it over just a little bit. It's not quite centered. So I will go to Document, ZApplink, Drop Now, Update. So it's updated now and it's got the texture on there, but if I go to Edit, Step Backwards, I can keep stepping backwards until I get my separate layer for the tattoo again. Control T, and then I can use the arrow keys to just transform that over so it's just a bit more centered. Merge down, preserve, save. Alt-tab back to ZBrush, pick up now, and that poly paint has been applied to that model. So that is ZApplink. Any sort of texture tool that you can use in Photoshop, you can utilize in ZApplink to then apply that texture in ZBrush. So it's quite a wonderful tool that's not actually that well known. I think it's, again, wonderful for putting decals on objects and applying tattoos and flash art and things like that to an existing character. So hopefully you found this video helpful, and I will see you in the next lesson. Thanks for watching.